Gordon. So 0 is the void of nothingness, right? 1 is the void of somethingness. Does that make sense? All right, cool. So within the 1, the top here, actually I was debating with the professor about this the other day in his office hours. Okay, if 1 is the void of somethingness, that means everything is enclosed inside of 1. All numbers, okay, all numbers are held within 1. And then as 1 goes to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, it pieces apart. So I like to say 1 holds all numbers, right? Like a circle, right? And 9 has experienced them. Now, why do I say 9 has experienced them? Because once we get to 9, all the other numbers can be seen. So if we have 1 to 9, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, all other numbers past 9 are just combinations of those numbers. So 9 has experienced all the numbers. Does that make sense? Okay, cool. So, any questions? No? All right, cool. All right, so let's talk about aces for a second. What are the aces? 1, right? Perfect. What about the suits? What do the suits represent?
Different elements.
Yeah, good. So how do we make all the combinations in our universe?
Those 4 elements.
Metaphysically, or if we were to talk about chemistry,
Yeah.
be different periodic, elements of the periodic table, which we haven't even discovered all of them. I don't think. So yeah, the elements, the basis of creation. Let's talk about the elements for a bit. What are the elements? Good. Do you know what they mean? Yeah, let's hear it. Fire.
Fire sparks new beginnings.
Good. So new beginnings. Okay. Okay. I'm terrible at spelling. What else? Good. That's a good one. I was actually meditating on that the other day. I was like, is passion an emotion or is it like a separate experience? What do you guys think? Do you think passion's an emotion or a separate experience from emotion? Separate? Okay, cool. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Right behind you, there should be a couple light switches. Yeah. Actually, that's way better. Thank you. Passion. Huh?
The Gotham is displaced, but that's all.
we can have tarot in the dark one day.
For Halloween.
Halloween, yeah, Halloween. Exactly. Cool. Passion. I like that one. What's behind passion? I said this word earlier.
Energy, motivation.
Energy, motivation. All these things have something in common. Will. When I think of fire, the power of fire, I think of will. Why? Spark. Right? Spark out of nothingness. Because we're talking about 1. So in tarot, the more I study the tarot, the more I realize it's all about numbers. I probably sound like a crazy man.
No, you sound
You look
like
like
a
one,
Pythagorean.
I
You sound like a Pythagorean.
yes, I find a lot of inspiration from the philosophers. Yeah. So will. It's because the elements go in a certain pattern. It goes fire, water, air, earth. Okay, so if we're in the number 1 and we're in the element of fire, we have that will, right? That will. Make sense? The tarot is extremely organized. You only have to know a little bit to go out on your own and discover the secrets. And and I'm going to give you what I know so that you can have your own self-discovery. Okay? So we're going to switch these around. That's the order. So we have wands. Wands is 5. Woo!
Uh-oh.
He meant to do that. It's all part of the plan. Don't worry.
Yeah, it's okay. It's fine. It's fine. I'll clean it up in a bit.
Well, there's chaos. That's what we're talking about.
Wands. I work here. Wands. Okay, what do wands do? Create. Good, good. They draw in power. They create. Let's look at the magician for a moment. Why would I bring up the magician?
Because he takes power from the spiritual world and uses things to bring it down.
Good. That's one thing. There's another reason.
He's the master of, I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry.
No, he's the master of creation. Oh,
Good. We're missing a big piece here.
He's the one.
He's a one.
Oh.
He's a one. Good. So in the Hermetic or the Kabbalah or the Vedic tree, whatever you want to call it, whenever you see a one, we can always draw all of the aces and the magician. There's correlations. So in the tarot, making connections is key. All right. So do we have our magicians out? No. I think some of these boxes have the magician on the front. That one does. You don't need it.
No, just because I'm going to recognize that.
Candle broke.
Sooner.
I'm laughing at that.
Yeah.
Candle broke. That's funny.
It is fun.
Yeah. Yeah, it is kind of ironic. Why would I bring up the magician besides it being a one? You should know.
In my opinion,
Look at the table. But look at his table. What's on the table? All the elements. Boom.
He also has an infinite sign that says,
Yeah, so he's the beginning. I think one is interesting.
well, I feel that the magician is the first step onto enlightenment, and that is because he's mastered all the things in the material world. So the four elements represent the material world, and so he's become master of those four elements. Is that?
Yeah.
Going along with what you're saying?
I feel like, well, he's the alpha.
Yeah.
And if we think about it, I guess nothingness could be the omega. I don't know. I haven't decided what the omega is yet for me. But yeah, so fire, will, boom, wands, cool. So the tarot's interesting because it goes masculine, feminine, masculine, feminine. All right. Why would the wands be masculine?
The 12-year-old boy in me has an explanation, but I think.
Just say it. That's the
That's
that's the answer I want.
There you go.
Tell the class.
Because it's okay. So it's not just
Phallic.
phallus, but the phallus is part
It
of
looks
procreation.
phallic. Now, why would masculine energy happen first? And this isn't sexist. It's just logical. Why would masculine energy happen first? Action, expanse. Now think about this. If expansion didn't happen first, everything would just collapse on itself. Okay? When we breathe, we expand, our lungs expand first, and they contract. Okay? There's a pattern inside of our reality that goes expansion, contraction, expansion, contraction. Now, if we think about when men or just male animals in general get excited, they expand. Okay? When women get excited, they contract. It's just nature. So, if the universe did not expand first, everything would just collapse. It would just implode. So we have expansion. Let's move on to cups. There's more here, but for the sake of time, we can move on. So what's next? Cups. Hmm?
The high priestess water cups.
Yeah. So we're talking about aces time. We're gonna do the minor arcana first. So aces, ace of cups. So what do cups represent? This is easy. Emotion, but what element? Water. Yeah, water. Where's my water? Wait, let's get everybody's signs real quick. Let's go around the room. Leo, Gemini, Scorpio, Virgo, Pisces, Virgo, Scorpio. Oh, good group of zodiac signs in here. Water. So we have the cups. Now, if you want to be really immature, the wand goes into the cup. All right. So what do cups represent? This is why I don't let anybody under 18 without a parent come here. What do the cups represent? Huh? Fulfillment. Okay. Fulfillment.
Well,
Yeah, that was a good one. Fulfillment. Good. We're gonna put that down because that's really creative. Fulfillment. Cool. I'm terrible at spelling, so that's why I have Microsoft Word. It's the ideas that count. All right. So what else? I'm the more that I study this stuff, I kind of am along the same vein.
especially if you consider trying to fit spirituality into any of the other suits, it doesn't really fit. So it must be, in my opinion, our process of elimination of cups.
I've also heard cups represent intuition, like the psychic field, if you believe in psychic fields. Right. What's the one we're missing that everybody stereotypes? Emotion. Right? Yeah, everybody stereotypes that one. Yeah.
Scorpio is worse.
Right. Scorpio's interesting though because it's ruled by Mars. So that's a inherently fiery, watery.
Well, Mars is water.
Yep, exactly. Mars is right here on the tree. It's number 5. We'll get to that in a few weeks or like a couple months.
Going based off of stereotypes when it comes to water and water signs, crybabies.
Crybabies. Oh, I didn't tell you mine. I'm a Cancer.
Oh, so sorry.
See, that's what you think.
Yeah, that is what I think.
So crybabies.
Yep.
That's not mystical.
I won't even write that.
That's not mystical. We're here for mysticism. Sorry. What else for water? How about subconsciousness? Experience. Subconsciousness. Experience. Why did I say subconsciousness? You don't know? Unconsciousness, subconsciousness.
I don't want to bring Freud into this.
I do.
Oh,
You're a psych major, right?
yeah, you're a psych major.
Yeah, you should be all for it.
No.
Subconsciousness. Our mental activity. Okay, rewind for a second. When you were growing in the womb, did it's okay? Yes. When you were growing in the womb, you didn't think about it. You just did it. Now, what happens? You're surrounded by water. Your body is majority water. So we could say, "Oh, you're fine.
You sure?
Yeah, okay, that was nice.
I just didn't want to spread it out. Sorry.
I was getting too excited. I packed everything too close.
Yeah, okay.
Sorry. Sith happens. Rah, yeah. Perfect. So when we were growing, we didn't think about it happening. There's a difference between psychological subconsciousness and metaphysical subconsciousness. that chair has subconsciousness. Okay? Everything has subconsciousness. It just knows what to do.
Are you being platonic?
Semi,
The world of forms.
kind of, yes. Which we'll get to that. Let's get through the elements and then we'll talk about that. So, everything has subconsciousness. That plant subconsciously grows. It doesn't think about it, it just does it. Does that make sense? Okay. So, there's a word for it. I just don't have there. I don't think that there's. Yeah. Well, what do you think?
Well, with life, are you also getting into the world of, on the other side of life, all of the other beings that help, like devas and elementals and everything? A plant doesn't just, from what I understand, what I learned and what I know,
Mm-hmm.
a plant has devas and elementals working with it so that it can grow,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
Mm-hmm.
and it assists its, you know, I wouldn't say that it has its own subconsciousness. I think it has the spiritual other side that enables it to happen on this earth, as we all do.
Sure. That's great. No, we're gonna build off that. Why don't we talk about that for a second? So, if the other side built our reality, and let's say the Big Bang happened. So, okay, all these spiritual entities, they're like, all right, we're going to create form. Boom. Now the Big Bang happened. Everything's expanding. All matter is spread across our universe. Okay. All of the patterns from that spiritual world was theoretically pushed into our reality. So there's a chain reaction from whatever you want to believe. Spiritual. Now we hit the material world. That chain is still happening subconsciously. See what I'm saying? It's like when I say subconsciousness, I'm talking about the pattern that is held in our reality for these things to manifest. Does that make any sense? We should make up a word for this so that we can be like, yeah, we made up a metaphysical philosophical word, really cool. But subconsciousness is the best that I got right now. So subconsciousness. Cool. Let's move on from water. Air. Air, air, air. What is air? I like that. What's air in the tarot? Swords. Swords. Why would swords be air? Boom. We have the answer. Actually, that is the answer. That's the best answer I can come up with. Plus, wands, they shoot fire. Like when we think about the mage, fire. What is it in, I can't believe I remember this. What is it? Yeah, or luminos or whatever it is. Yeah. Yeah, it's the fire. It like emits fire. So swords, they cut through air. Good.
Can I suggest something else not to contradict
Oh,
what
no,
you're saying?
please go ahead.
Yeah.
Swords represent the intellect, and the intellect is what divides things into different compartments and gives our world form by giving it names and shapes our ideas.
Yeah, actually, I was going to get to that.
I'm sorry.
No.
I did the dumbed down version, don't worry.
You summed it up very
I
succinctly.
did.
Well
I
done.
was like, basically, this is it.
Yeah, no. You have to be very tactful and know how to maneuver a sword, right? Intellect. So, if water is subconsciousness, what would sword be? Self-consciousness. Self-consciousness.
A small but important difference.
Right. This one, self-consciousness impresses on the subconsciousness, but I think subconsciousness came first. It's kind of weird. But, yeah.
What
All right.
came first? What did you say?
I think that self-consciousness arose out of subconsciousness. What else can we attribute to air?
Communication.
Good.
What good are those ideas if everybody, if you can't post them to the internet?
Communication. If we think about all the zodiacal signs, right? Gemini is two people holding hands, right? What are the other? Libra, right? Two sides balancing, and everything about all of the air signs, they infer some type of communion, right, between two sides, right?
Well, Aquarius is the,
Water bearer.
yeah.
What do you do every day? Okay. All right, perfect.
Well, also the act of pouring water out on the land is a symbol for harmony as well.
Yeah, that's where
Right.
I was going for with that.
Sure you would.
uh,
That's exactly what I was saying.
real quick, do you guys like this mystical stuff, or would you rather just learn about divination? Who likes this? All of it? Okay, I like this better too than just sitting around and be like, hey, you're gonna win the lottery.
Oh, yeah. It would be nice to know, but, you know.
I like mysticism a lot better than divination. All right, communication. We have one more suit. What is it? Pentacles, yes. And what's the element? Earth.
The best element. Good to be right.
All right, pentacles.
Humble, no, but correct. Yes.
What's a pentacle? A coin, yes. What's on the coin? A pentagram. A pentagram. That sign's not evil. The church made it evil. Actually, that sign is probably more ancient than the cross. What can we attribute to pentacles for Earth? What kind of attributes?
Strong.
Strength. I like that. Grounded. Good. All right. I kind of feel like strength and will are inherently connected, but we'll talk about that later. All right, groundedness. Now, why did I ask about the pentagram? Why did we ask about the pentagram? This is the Socratic method. I ask you the questions.
Yes, you could give you an answer. I mean, that's fair.
This is part of the lesson. Yes, it is. All right. Who knows how the elements line up on the pentagram? Oh, man. All right. Yes. Thank you. Yes. So what's the fifth one? Boom. You knew the answer. You just needed the right questions. This is why the Socratic method is so cool. I asked what? Okay, fine. I'll be more blatant. How do the elements line up on the pentagram? They go on each side.
That
Okay.
was a compliment.
Actually, one of my favorite tarot spreads uses the pentagram. So you lay out 5 cards, and each card represents an element, right? Yeah. Okay, so we have the pentagram. I love the pentagram. Cool. Groundedness, strength. What else? Solidification and the material world. So what happens is all of these intangible things, passion, will, fulfillment, emotion, intellect, those are invisible. They condense down into the element of earth. That's where it solidifies, okay? Now we're going to talk about the Hermetic tree for a second. Then we'll dig into the aces. We'll actually talk about like what they would mean in divination. There's a lot more here that we can talk about, but I don't want to like oversaturate you guys.
Aren't you gonna talk about a little bit more about the earth symbols? Isn't there like the wealth of the earth and all that part of that?
So when I said material world, I kind of just gathered wealth as part of that. There's no money in the other side, unfortunately. I hate to break it to you. Nobody's told you yet. Can't take your money with you. So, Yeah,
The material.
material.
The gold.
Right. The material world. What's that song? I'm a material girl.
Why are you looking at me?
Okay, the material world. Somebody's laughing over there. All right. So I'm going to show you guys something really cool. So there's these. We're going to get to the Plato. Who said the forms thing? Okay, you're on it. Has anybody heard of chairness or catness? Yes.
Is that just everything? Sorry.
Kind of.
Sorry.
Bare necessities.
Yeah.
The bare necessities, right? Okay, so there's things like a chair. Okay? We're to go to your house, or my house, or anybody's house, the chair is going to be slightly different. Actually, each one of these chairs is probably a little bit different. So there's the idea of a chair, okay? An archetype of the chair,
Throne.
of a throne. A throne, it's a chair, right?
As is the Virgin Mary and Isis.
Mm-hmm.
Thrones.
Good. Same idea, just different names. So, there's this thing called in Kabbalah or the Hermetic tree or the mystical side of tarot, there's this thing called the archetypal world. Okay? Now, inside of the archetypal world, the pattern for Ronnie existed. The pattern for Cameron existed. The pattern for Lindsay existed. The pattern for Sarah existed. Now, the archetypal world, you might want to write this down. This is super cool stuff. And if you can get this down, then a lot of this other tarot theory will make sense. The archetypal world pushed itself into creation. So it goes the archetypal world, the creative world. Okay? So you can think about it of it descending downwards. And I'll show you where the archetypal world sits on here. So it goes archetypal world, creative world, formative world. It starts to form, it starts to condense down. Okay? Then from the formative world comes the material world or earth. And it's conceived into form. Or form's not a good word. Into reality. How about that? Yes.
So respectfully, I would say that they're all equally real. They're just less material.
Yes. That's why I'm hesitant on giving you this last thing. Just say it appears on Earth. They're all real.
Right.
They're all real.
Different planes of existence.
Different planes of existence, right? So there's a couple different ways that the four worlds line up on the tree. I'm going to give you both of them that I know. These first three spheres sometimes are considered the creative world. Okay? Then right here, these first three spheres, archetypal world. Excuse me. Let me catch my words. Archetypal world. Then these sometimes are considered the creative world. And then right here, these three are the formative. And then at the very bottom is like the material world. Okay? The very bottom. Remember how I said all the elements condense down into Earth? Same thing. Here we have fire. Fire is the archetypal world. Then we have water, the creative world, being baptized. Okay? It's like you're being baptized. Creation. Here we got fulfillment right here. That's interesting. Then we have formative world. So we start to formulate our thought. Right? Intellect, air, formulative. Right? Now we have Earth, where it condenses down, and boom, we have our baby. Ah, there's the baby. right? Okay, cool.
I don't really understand the difference between like the creative versus formative.
Good. Yeah.
Think of a rock. That's the first step. The second step, you add all the shapes and forms, the trees, the rivers, all that stuff. The third is all the life, animals, people, stuff like that. The fourth, you press play, that was all.
Still lost in between the
It's
second
all
and
right.
third one.
Let's try this. Let's try this. So there's the archetype of you, or let's just say people. Okay. Now, some of the patterns of you got pushed into creation. Okay. Now, once from the creation standpoint, it starts to create the fine details of Sarah. So,
Okay, so you're making a statue and forming is like getting like the clay together and stuff.
yes.
No, that's like creative, and formative would be like making the details into the statue. Okay.
The third step will be the details.
Yes. Yes. Okay, is this making more sense now?
Like modeling clay.
Yeah, like modeling clay. Right. And then ultimately you appear on Earth and it's right. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah.
Think about it like it's gonna sound so crude, but this is like metaphysical psychology. So when we have an idea, it comes from the archetypal world, okay? And then the initial push is created, and then our idea starts to formulate, and then we take that idea from our mind and we manifest it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Does anybody have any questions about that? No? Okay, cool. All the elements line up. So archetypal world is fire. Like the Bible, they say fire, you know. Basically in Hebraic mysticism, they think fire like initially conceived everything. And it makes sense because everything has a will. You have a will, I have a will. I personally think that time is just measuring the will of the divine in the material world. Okay. I know some people might like to argue, but I'm gonna stick by my guns on that. I talked to I've been hanging out with the Hare Krishnas recently, and I talked to one of their head people, and I told him this theory. He's like, actually, yeah, our ancient book says the same thing. I'm like, okay, cool. So, I'll give you these last couple things, and we'll talk about the aces, and then we'll take a small break and do a meditation. I want to show you guys tarot meditation. It's really fun. Some people say, oh, I told you the 3 spheres. Some people say the archetypal world is all in the number 1, which is plausible. Then 2 is the creative. 2 and 3. So this side is considered masculine. This side's considered feminine. Okay. So 2 and 3 would be like the creative world. It would make sense, right? Masculine, feminine energy creates. And then everything below it, all of these spheres, is the formulative world. Excuse me. And then finally, material world's at the bottom. So those are the 2 ways that I know. Okay. One last thing that for some reason, my intuition is to tell you guys this or to ask you guys this. When we create something, what else happens? When let's think of a baby. When someone has a baby, we created it, but what else comes with it? Consciousness. This is kind of grim. What is going to happen at the very end? Yes. So when we pull energy from some part of the universe to create something, another aspect of reality passes away. And that all happens inside of the number one. Now, one has infinite potential, okay? And a part of number one is creation, but also death. And death is kind of crude. Maybe we could say destruction. So within number one, not only is the creation element, but it's also the dying element. And why do I say this? Because when the mage or the magician uses his magical force to pull in his power, some of the energy somewhere else in the universe is gone. Yes.
Can we equate it to the idea that nothing is either created or destroyed, so everything just changes energy, right? So the death card represents a change in energy rather than, it can represent an ending of something, but it also more mainly represents that change in energy. Does that make sense?
That is it. That's exactly what I'm trying to show you.
I also don't think. My belief is that energy does not go away like that.
It's not, it doesn't go away. It's just pulled from another area. So say that
That's a form of metamorphosis.
it's metamorphosis, yeah.
Maybe it exchanges, yes.
It exchanges, right.
Pull it from something else, I don't.
Okay, wait. Let's think about this for a second. We are on the path of life and we're walking along the path. Now we can either go left or right. We decide to go right. Left falls away. Does that make any sense? No? Every choice you make is a death to another choice. How about that? Does that make sense? Okay.
If it's an either or situation, well, yeah. But
Okay.
a lot of things are not either or. Where's the gray?
Where's the
It's not
gray?
black and white. Yeah, where's all that gray in between?
That's a good question. And this is something that I've been.
Yeah, it's not just either or.
Okay. So now we're getting
If
into.
you go left or right, you could be taking some of the left with you,
Right.
even though you're going right. So it's not, where's the gray?
I see.
Where's the melding? I mean, that's the feminine of this whole thing. I mean, the masculine is this and this. The sword will say, okay, we're going to split it in half.
Mhm.
But the feminine says, no, we're all together.
Okay.
We're all together.
We are getting to something that I've been grappling with recently. Who believes in dualism? Who believes in non-dualism?
Non-dual reality and dual reality.
Yeah, that's what we're talking about. That's what we're talking about.
And dual reality.
Okay.
So, this might be a lot.
Well, you came to a mysticism class.
Okay, well, it's not for me, but I don't know how it is.
Well, we're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about it for the next 5 minutes. What is the logical reasoning behind non-dualism?
The universe just isn't that simple, everything is a shade of gray.
Okay.
Sometimes it helps our brain to fit things into black or white, left or right, but
Mhm.
there's, if you look at anything, analyze anything to a certain detail, everything has something of the other in it, and everything has
The yin yang.
Mhm.
That's
Good.
what the symbol means.
So we're getting somewhere, all right?
where exactly does my left begin? I mean, left hand and right hand are pretty similar.
Right.
But
Right.
if I'm going to turn left or right, how many degrees right am I turning? How many degrees left? And is it really just based on my perspective? You could, and anything, even the simplest things can be, if you examine them closely enough, can be discriminated to that.
Okay. So how do we make gray?
Well, gray exists whether or not we want it to, though, right?
No.
Does
How
that
do we
answer your
make?
question?
How do we make gray? How in
How you
colors?
You take black and you take white.
Okay.
And
And you
you put them together.
mix them together.
You can't have gray without black and white. And you can't have the black and white without a mixture of gray.
Okay. So this is something that I've been thinking about for a very, for the past few weeks, actually. So basically, remember how at the beginning of this conversation, we were talking about the number one and nothingness and somethingness. You guys remember that? It wasn't that long ago. Basically, I think, and this is just my personal opinion, the only non-dual thing that can exist is one. Yes. Yeah, they do. Nothing. I think you and I, we think alike. Nothingness and somethingness inherently suggests two separate things. Does that make any sense?
Two sides of the same coin.
Two sides of the same coin. So the more that I meditate on this, I think that only one can be non-dual. Because even if we were to talk about, okay, our universe is one, now we're getting to the spiritual side, but it's the spiritual, but it's still considered a part of the one. Does that make any sense?
Scientists say that you cannot have matter without antimatter.
They
They balance each other.
balance each other.
And that's
Exactly.
science.
Right. I like science.
Well, yeah, science came from alchemy,
Mm-hmm.
which is metaphysical.
Right.
I would not be surprised though if you wouldn't find shades of gray between matter and antimatter though.
Mm-hmm.
We don't know. I don't know enough on the subject to say, but yeah, but I wouldn't be surprised if it helps a lot of people's brains, especially if you're a sword type personality, to separate things into like two polar spheres. But I mean that is considered to be a masculine trait, and and that I feel that well, okay, fine, we don't know. So if it helps a person to think of the world in dualistic ways, then I have no authority to tell them not to.
Right. I mean, psychologically, we like to put things in compartments. Yeah.
The world is very difficult to understand without doing that.
Hmm.
The world is very difficult to understand if you see everything as a shade of gray and accept every shade of gray as you go on. You would never choose a breakfast cereal.
Right.
You'd consider every shade of gray before.
So what are we? We're products of that.
Spent quite a while going on to events for non-dualism. And so it's really just getting to a point where it's complete emptiness. And so your brain isn't deciding this or
Right.
that. So it's more I believe maybe it's more the undefined.
It is undefined.
You know,
Remember how I said zero? Yeah, I don't want to cut you off. I apologize.
Yeah.
Remember how I said 0 and 1 are very similar?
But one is, so that's
Okay.
dualism.
Yeah. 0 and 1 are very similar because they're both voids. As soon as you think you've reached an understanding of one, there's something beyond that. There's something even further, which is why I'm a firm believer of only one can be non-dual. I am I'm a dualist, non-dualist. I believe that there are parts to everything, but only one, which is one, can be non-dual. You are you, I am I, but we're a part of the one. Okay? Is this understandable? Yeah. I think tarot is its own religion. It is. Amy knows, yeah. Actually, tarot is my religion. I think I was telling somebody, like, I've been going to all these different spiritual places, and I'm just like, nothing's good like a good tarot group. This isn't filling the void like a good tarot group. It is a belief system, yeah. Yeah. Which is why one sits at the top, and then what happens is one starts to split into all these other parts, as you can see on the tree. And all the major arcana cards fit on here. We've got the Fool, Magician, and we can talk about these too. Okay, who's fried? Or do you want to keep going? It's 8. We can do some meditation. Meditation? Excellent. Let's take a 3 to 5 minute break, and I'll teach you guys how to do tarot meditation. It's really fun. I'm sorry about the candle. It was abrupt, but things happen. So it's in the 1 now.